So, did you ever hear about the Battle of Nashville in December 1864? It's one of those moments where you just think, what was he thinking?
Oh, you're talking about General Hood's last desperate attempt to turn the tide?
Exactly. I mean, after the fiasco at Franklin where he lost more men than, common sense would allow, he decided to march on Nashville anyway. It's like trying to
Right.
run a race on a broken leg.
Yeah, not the smartest move. His army was exhausted and half-starved, weren't they?
Exactly. And here he is, facing Union General George Thomas, who was sitting pretty in Nashville with 55,000 fresh troops. It's like bringing a spoon to a sword fight.
Or no utensil at all. So Hood just camps outside Nashville, hoping Thomas makes a mistake.
Yeah, for 2 whole weeks in the freezing cold. Meanwhile, Thomas, known as the Rock of Chickamauga, is just waiting patiently.
Talk about a waiting game. But didn't some people criticize Thomas for not attacking sooner?
They did, but he wanted to make sure everything was perfect. And when December 15th came around, he unleashed an attack that was less a battle and more an organized beatdown.
Yep. So how did Hood's army hold up?
Not well at all. The Union forces hit both flanks using superior numbers and artillery.
Right.
Hood's left flank crumbled almost immediately. Hunger and hypothermia don't make for great stamina.
Definitely not. And the right flank? Did they put up any resistance?
A bit longer, but they were slowly pushed back. It's like watching a slow-motion train wreck. You know it's going to end badly.
Then comes December 16th, and Thomas decides to finish it off?
Exactly. He orders another massive assault, and Hood's army just collapses.
Yeah.
Think of a house of cards in a windstorm. It all comes tumbling down.
Ouch. Hood tried to rally his men, though, didn't he?
He did, but at that point, they were more interested in running than fighting. Can't blame them, really.
Survival instinct kicks in. So, Hood loses over 6,000 men?
Yeah, and with that, his army was essentially destroyed. Thomas secured one of the most decisive Union victories of the war.
That must have effectively ended Confederate hopes in the West.
It did. Hood led his remaining troops on a miserable retreat into Alabama, and then he resigned. Probably the best decision he made during that campaign.
Can't argue with that. But don't you think Hood was being reckless? I mean, marching a depleted army into a well-defended city?
Absolutely. It's like, trying to storm a fortress with a butter knife. Not the smartest strategy.
Maybe his officers should have challenged his decisions more.
Perhaps. But in the chain of command, it's tough to go against your general.
Right.
Still, when half your army is gone, you might want to reconsider.
For sure. So Thomas's patience really paid off then?
Definitely. He waited until he was fully prepared and then struck with overwhelming force. It's a textbook example of effective military strategy.
Sometimes waiting is the hardest part, but it can make all the difference.
Exactly. And it's interesting how Nashville, known today for country music and hot chicken, was once the site of such a pivotal battle.
Yeah. Speaking of hot chicken, we should grab some after this.
Ha! Great idea. But seriously, the Battle of Nashville shows how vital leadership and morale are in warfare.
Absolutely. And the importance of questioning leadership when necessary.
Couldn't agree more. It's like, if your captain is steering the ship towards an iceberg, someone needs to speak up.
Right. Before it's too late. Well, this has been really enlightening.
Definitely. History has so many lessons if we pay attention.
Yeah. So, next time we're faced with a tough decision, maybe we'll remember General Thomas's patience.
And avoid making Hood's mistakes.
Exactly.
Maybe grab some hot chicken instead of charging ahead recklessly.
Sounds like a plan to me.